Welcome to another episode of the Roughly Related to Reselling podcast. My name is Perry Phillips. I go by Perry Flips on Instagram with a Z. Flips and Giggles is the store on eBay, and it's also my username on Whatnot. We do weekly shows every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Make sure you follow us on there because we do pop-ups. We do pop-ups as well. So, if you follow us, you'll get notified anytime we post a show and then when we go live and all that stuff. So make sure you're doing that. I apologize that the show is a day late. I know I've been on schedule. I'm sure some of you guys were thinking, fuck this guy. He just said that he was going to put the show out on Wednesdays, and now he's putting it out late. But you're going to feel real bad when I tell you why I put it out late. My mom died over the weekend, you fucking assholes. So, my mom died on Saturday. So this is probably going to be a sad episode. I'm going to try to keep it as entertaining as I can. I don't know if I'm going to even release it, if I'm even ready to do a podcast yet, but I figured I would try. I'm sitting in her side of the house. She lived on the same property as us, and so her property was like right next door to us. You walk around like our front, and then you can get to her. Shit, I'm sitting on my, hold on. So I'm sitting in her house right now. I'm not like sitting here for sentimental reasons, like, oh, I wanted to do a podcast from her house or something. It's just warmer in here than the basement, and my wife and my youngest is home. So my wife took the week off from work. My oldest daughter's in school. But yeah, it was an unexpected thing to happen right before Christmas too. That's actually made me want to watch more Christmas movies though. I've been getting making sure we've been watching Christmas movies for sure. We were already on that trajectory. So yeah, it was Friday. It was like a regular day. I had come over to my mom's house because, I usually stop by throughout the day. So I think the first time I came over was after I dropped my daughter off at school, came home, and we usually get home and we take her dog for a walk. So we took him for a walk, and she was not feeling well. So, but she, seemed all right. But she was, in and out of bed. So I just kind of was letting her rest, checking on her every couple hours. And then around 6:30, I called her and I didn't get an answer. And I had just been over there around 4:30, so 2 hours prior. And I didn't get an answer, so I was like, oh, maybe she was resting. She was up when I went over there last time. So then after dinner, I called her and she didn't pick up. So I went over. So, same property. So I just walk around the house and there I am. So I go in the house and I look in her bedroom, and her legs, I could see her she's not in the bed, but I could see her legs on the floor moving. So I'm like, I come around the corner and she's awake, but she looks like she's kind of half asleep. So I'm like, hey, are you all right? She's like, yeah. She starts yelling at me to get out of her room. I was like, well, you're laying on the floor. And she goes, I'm not laying on the floor. And I go, well, yeah, you are. You're laying on the floor. How long have you been laying on the floor? Do you know what happened? Do you remember what happened? She's like, I've been on the floor all day. So I knew she was confused. My wife's a nurse, so I ran next door, grabbed her, and I was like, hey, you got to go over there. I'll get the girls I put something on TV for the kids to watch while we were dealing with that. So I ran back over. At this point, I don't know what we're, we've got to do something. So my wife's like, call 911. So I call, send an ambulance. Bring her in. So I go immediately after down to the hospital. They're like, she's got a fever. She's got COVID. So they were, testing her for this, that, and the other. And, I figured she'd be, good in the morning. So I was like, all right, I'll leave. I left around midnight. I was there pretty late. And she was starting to get some rest. So I was like, I'll just leave, let her get some rest. And I was like, I left my number thinking I'd be back in the morning. and they called me at like 4:30 in the morning and said that she had had a heart attack, and to come in and we'd have to figure out the next step. So I, woke up at 4:30, went in right away. The hospital's like up the street. Talked to the doctor. She was like, you got to decide what, blah, 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 blah. So we were going to give it a couple, 24, 40 hours, see if she came out of it. And then at like 9:45 the next morning, they called and they said that she, wasn't going to, she was doing worse and to come say bye. So, I drove down, told some family members, the ones that were close by, if they wanted to come say bye. And yeah, that was it. So I am now a little orphan Perry. I'm not actually technically an orphan. I still do have a dad, but I just don't, we're not really in contact at all. So yeah, it's been a week. We did a whatnot last night. That was actually fun. I was contemplating not doing it. I didn't know how it was going to go. But I thought it went well. I thought we did well. It was, we didn't make a ton of money, but it was nice to just be selling stuff and interacting with the people who come into the chat. I don't like to call them chat, but I don't know what else to call them. Customers, followers, I guess. Followers, you could say. So that one's difficult. But yeah, they don't, I know they say it's cliche to say, but like they don't prepare you for when your parents die. There's just so much shit. And I was like, oh, fuck yeah, dude. Like her stuff is organized. It's going to be pretty easy. She had a little filing cabinet type thing with different folders in it. All of them were marked. So I'm like, oh, sweet. Like this is going to make everything so much easier. So, go through the filing cabinet and most of the folders are empty. I'm like, oh, well, fucking, that's awesome. So, there's piles of like receipts, but we ended up finding most of the paperwork. I'm like at the tail end. I got right to it. So I took, Saturday it happened. Obviously Saturday we really didn't get a ton of stuff done. We had to tell my daughters. That sucked. We had some friends come over and hang out for a little bit. We're family. Sorry, family came over Saturday. A friend came over Sunday. But sorry, I just lost my train of thought real quick. What the fuck was I talking about? Anyway, yeah. So yeah, Saturday. Then Sunday was football, which was nice. We took our kids to a holiday stroll. That was fun. And then Monday, I just, once everything was open, I wanted to get on top of doing everything that I could just so I don't have all this shit hanging over my head. I don't even give a fuck about like, whatever money I'm getting. I just wanted like the actual paperwork side of it done. You know what I mean? Like closing shit out. Like she had a ton of fucking mail that would come to the house always. So I want to go through that and get that fucking done so we don't have shitloads of her mail still coming through. So it's just a lot. There's a lot of shit to do, emotionally, physically, mentally, It's weird because I'm doing kind of like my, I'm going to be doing an estate sale here. So this is going to be like, I've done estate sales before for family members. So this will be obviously my first like direct, it's my mom's shit. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting. I was thinking about doing it on Whatnot and, just walking through the house and doing it like that. But, I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. So her Christmas tree was like half up. So I've just been slowly I put like one or two Christmas ornaments on it and then I sit down, and that's kind of how I always put Christmas ornaments on the tree. So, I'm still fucking sick too, which sucks. Our family is sick. we've been sick like, a couple months now. It's just a cough that won't go away. I might have to go to the doctor, honestly, because this shit's not getting better. But we keep we send our kids to the doctor and they're like, yeah, there's nothing we can do for them. I'm like, all right, cool. And they just keep coughing, coughing and coughing. So I'm hoping that we're through this. I fucking hate wintertime because it's just, you get sick all the fucking time. It sucks. It fucking sucks. It's so weird. Like the summertime, not sick. But in the winter, it's just constantly sick. So, yeah, doing an estate sale, going through my mom's stuff is, it's been interesting. Found some random shit. We haven't even really started going through anything. You know what I mean? Like my mom, pretty much, I kind of knew all of what she had. So yeah, we've just got, she's got like little tchotchke things. So we'll see. It might just have to be a series of estate sale at my mom's, or whatnot. That would be fun. I think that might be what I do for at least the small stuff, and then the bigger stuff I can do like an estate sale inside and see how that goes. So gotta. I oh, words are hard. I have to be the person who's doing all the stuff. It was just me and my mom, so I'm doing all of the paperwork, all that stuff. My wife's helping me where she can, but most of the phone calls I have to do. So it's just been being on the phone the last 3 days. And it's funny the different reactions that you get from people. Some people are like, "Oh, I'm sorry for your loss," blah, 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 blah. Some people just fucking scoot right past it. They're like, "Oh, you said death. I'm just going to put my biggest," they just get super, they go almost falsetto. And they're just very overly nice. You know what I mean? So it's I know you heard what I said because I can tell that your demeanor has now changed. But they just haven't acknowledged it. So it's kind of funny. It's not it's nothing I find offensive. I'm not like, "Oh, fuck this fucking asshole." But it's just funny the different reactions that you get when you tell people, like, "Yeah, I need to cut my mom's fucking phone bill off because she died." And they're like, well, I don't say it like that, but I just thought I said that for comedic effect. I don't think it came across that way. So I said this is going to be a sad episode. I don't even know if I'm going to release it yet. We'll see. So far, it's not bad. I don't know. Maybe it's, who knows. But it's episode 91. Is it 91 or 90? I can't remember now. Again, it's been a long week. So the first night, I was so fucking tired. The first day, because I had been up and down. I went to bed at midnight, woke up at 4:30, and then I wasn't going back to sleep after that. So I was just, by the end of the day, and plus I was, emotionally just drained from fucking sobbing all day. So then by the time it was I still went to bed fairly late. I was still awake. I was awake but tired. And then yeah. So mornings have been rough. It's it's, I don't know. Grief's weird, man. I don't know which stage I'm in, or if I'm in any stage, or if everybody goes through that same. I don't think everybody goes out through the same process, but I don't know. Are you supposed to go through the steps the same way? I don't fucking know. Or if that's just what happens naturally. I don't know. I haven't denied that she's dead at all. That would be funny. I'm no, she's totally alive. She's going to fucking come back with Tupac one day. I don't know what, I don't know if, occasionally while I'm walking over, I'll see her car. I'll be like, "Oh, my mom's home." I'm like, "Oh, no, she's not," Or I'll be like, "Oh, I want to send a picture. This picture would be cool. My mom would like it." And, shit like that. So, I didn't do I went to a sale on Saturday. There was one sale, And I was like, I have to get out of the house. At this point, we were just waiting for the doctor, because at this point, we didn't know that she was going to be done. Kaput. So I went to a sale, and it ended up being a guy who comes to my yard sales. And I'm pretty sure it's the guy who complains. But, I said whatever, said what's up to him or whatever. So gave me a couple deals. But he was selling a lot of shit super expensive. I was like, I'm not going to buy that shit. That shit's way too much money. And they didn't have anybody there. So I know he didn't sell anything. It's crazy how much people ask. And it's like they don't even do the bare minimum of fucking advertising. It's like, how do you expect somebody to pay you $100 if you can't even reach that person? You know what I mean? So, oh yeah, I got a new phone. That's pretty cool. I don't know if I said that the last time. Yeah, my mom's friends keep sending me pictures and shit, and like it's kind of annoying because people keep sending me text messages like asking me, how I am, and I get it. You want to check in, but yeah, it's a lot when you have to answer text messages all day. So by the end of the day, I just want to sit and watch something or play video games. I've been playing Helldivers 2. That's been a lot of fun. Very therapeutic. Murdering robots and bugs. I don't do the other one yet. I don't know. I did it the first time, but by accident. So I don't even know what they are. They're like ghouls or zombies or something. It's a very strange game, but it's fun. I had an intense one last night. Whew. This dude, because when you play, I'm not even going to get into that now. I just started and I exhausted myself. I was like, it was so much fun, and I just to describe it would have been, but I was fucking killing shit. I'm pretty sick at that game, I'm good at the games that you play against computers, but playing against actual people, I'm fucked. Like the AI ones, so that means I might be cool if AI rises up, I might be able to fucking stand a chance, because I'm pretty good at doing it in video games. But against other people, that's where I get fucking killed all the time. But this game's cool because you're not fighting other people. But the other people, so if you die in this game, you gotta fucking, somebody's gotta bring you back in. And this person was not bringing me and the other person back in. So I was just having to sit and watch. It was fucking so annoying. It wasn't like they couldn't do it. They could definitely do it. And then they finally died. And I had to bring them back in because you can't just bring one of them back in. And I needed the help. Oh, I almost killed them just to fucking prove a point, but I couldn't figure out which one was which. Anyway, so I didn't know if you know this, but Girl Scout cookies can double as breakfast cookies when yeah. So normally I intermittent fast. I'll go X amount of hours before eating in the morning. But this past week, it's just, I just have to. I'm like, I need to eat something. And the most readily available thing is Girl Scout cookies because they happen to be at the post office on Saturday when I went after, all this shit happened. And so, yeah, I've just been eating. And then my neighbor made cookies for us. I've been eating her cookies. They were so good. And yeah, it's just been a lot of cookies. And they make good breakfast cookies. I'm not going to lie. Peanut butter one, at least. There's some protein. I definitely think I have fucking pneumonia or something. I can feel it in my chest. I need to go to the goddamn doctor. But yeah, it was. So when we went in and we talked to the doctor, who was like, yeah, it's not looking good, blah, 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 blah. My wife's like, do you have any advice on telling kids? I'm like, this is the guy you're fucking asking? This guy was full on socially, he started with just telling us medical shit off the bat. Not even knowing that my wife was a nurse, by the way. And he just launched into all this medical shit. I'm like, that's not what you say in this situation. You know what I mean? He was just very he might have been a little bit autistic. And I'm saying that with all due respect. He was he seemed like a very smart guy, but he just was not you could tell social skills were not on the top of his list. You know what I mean? And she's asking this guy, like, hey, how do we tell our kids that their grandma's dead? I'm like, we're just going to fucking tell them. You know what I mean? I just told him. I wasn't like, I didn't beat around the bush. I was just like, she's fucking dead. She's going to haunt your dreams. I didn't say oh, jeez. Like fucking Pennywise the clown. My, so yeah. Yeah. Now, you know, I have to go Christmas shopping still. I haven't done that yet. We did it a little bit with my daughter to get some stuff for the kids, for her teacher. And then there's like the outside drop-off ladies. So here's a little pro tip. Get your drop-off ladies, if you have kids in school, get them some coffee gift cards. If it's Dunkin' or Starbucks, wherever they go to get coffee. Most of the bitches in Massachusetts go to Dunkin' Donuts. The fuck was that noise? It's weird because I can hear some stuff in the house. It's not like ghosts and shit, but like my wife and kid on the other side of the wall. You know, I usually am not here when my family's home. We're usually all over here together. Actually, that's a lie. I don't know why I said that. I honestly don't even know what I just said. I just kind of like spaced out and just kept talking. I've been doing a lot of that where I just space out. You know what I mean? Yeah, my mom and I didn't have like I wouldn't say it was like the worst relationship. I saw her every day. You know, she lived on the property. It was tense, but my mom was just, you know, my mom was a little out of her fucking mind. You know what I mean? She had a very traumatic life, you know? But at the same time, you know, you got to work on some shit at some point. And so we, you know, would oftentimes get into disagreements. But usually it was like it never spilled over to like any after that, you know? That's kind of how I am. I'm like, I can have a passionate argument with you and be like pissed at you 1 second and then be like, all right, we're cool like 2 seconds later. You know, I just don't hold grudges like that. And so, yeah, you know, I remember when I was younger, she would always want me to spend time with her. You know, she'd be like, you got to spend time. And so like, you know, as I moved away and then I left and came back, you know, I moved her next door, or we moved together in the same spot. So I got to see her all the time, which was nice. But again, I told you fucks, this is going to be a sad episode. I'm sorry. I'll do a better one next week. I just had to get it out of the way. You know what I mean? It's like, now it's one and done. I'm not going to have to talk about it again. Ooh, cool. This flashlight works. Yeah, that's the thing. I keep finding a lot of cool flashlights and shit. I've been digging through my mom's house. It's basically like an estate sale just right next to my house. You know what I mean? I can kind of go pick when I want to. But no, I've got, you know, just got a lot of shit. I've got a fireplace over here, so at least Santa could come down the chimney. I watched Violent Night last night. The dude from Stranger Things, Hopper, the guy who played Hopper. Excuse me. I can't remember his actual name. That's fucking crazy that I can't remember his name right now. No idea what his name is. But it was a pretty good movie for like, you know, a silly action flick. It was super gory. They had like a cool little scene where there's like a little girl and it's like basically a massive home invasion. You know, kind of like Home Alone. But there's a part where the little girl booby traps the attic. And it's pretty brutal. But it was pretty funny. You know, so there's that type of, you know, it's pretty cheesy action humor, but it was a good movie. And what else? Here, let me go to my thing because I'm going to struggle today to think of stuff. Oh, yeah, going through my mom's fucking phone. Oh, my God, dude. The amount of apps. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's like all not video game, but like, mobile gaming apps and shit. And we're going through like documents and stuff, and my wife sees like a bill or something, and she's like, what is this? It was like $1 charge for something, and I'm like, I bet that's like Candy Crush. And we look, and sure enough, it's the same name. It's Candy Crush. I'm like, dude, you were spending money on on Candy Crush? Like, what the fuck? Yeah. I won fantasy this week, but that was one of the things I had high points. So, yeah. I know Dan's probably going to listen to this at some point. So, he's already heard me time and time again talk about how I was a fucking genius for making the move that I did. But I'm going to say it again because I am a fucking genius. Only somebody with big ass balls would pull this move. If you play fantasy football, so in our league, the way it worked out was I should have been the 1 seed, but I pulled Bucky Irving several weeks ago, which kind of snowballed effect, cost me some money, this, that, and the other. And long story short, I went into the playoffs as like the 3rd seed rather than the 1st. Lost out on some money, and just barely lost out on like highest points of the year by like less than a point. And so week 1 of the playoffs, each person picks their opponent basically. So the number 1, made their pick, and then the next person picked, and they picked my wife. So I had the 3rd pick, and it was between 2 teams who, honestly, I thought I could beat both of the teams. I thought I had a realistic chance to beat both of the teams. And so I was like, I kept looking at the opponents like that I was going to be going up against, like seeing who they were playing, their matchups, this, that, and the other. And finally I was like, dude, it doesn't fucking matter. I can beat both of these fucks just looking at my own, roster and matchups and all that shit. And so I went with the opponent that I thought was the more difficult matchup, because I was like, I know this week I have a good matchup, across the board, this, that, and the other. So I was like, let's go this week to take this motherfucker out, because this is going to be my biggest competitor. Wasn't until I traded him Josh Allen, and then he traded for CeeDee Lamb and became, a powerhouse. And so that was the week that I had to make my move, because, if I waited for the next week, and now I might not win this week, but it worked out for me last week. I'm hoping that it works out for me again this week. Again, I don't think anybody can beat my team. I know I don't actually play on the teams, but it takes luck and skill towards the end of the year. And I'm just hoping for a little bit of both, baby. A little bit of both. I'm looking for a library book that my mom took out. I went to the library. I'm like, yeah, my mom passed away, and she might have. This is a book that she had that was yours. I don't know if she has any more. Can I see? She's like, oh, they're forgiven. And then she hands me a piece of paper that tells me the name of the book. She's like, yeah, if you find it. It tells me the due date too. I was like, bitch, you just said it would be forgiven. And then she just like put a due date on the fucking book. What the fuck, lady? So that was pretty entertaining. I've been trying to smile and laugh at the stupid shit. But yeah, when I called my buddy, the dude that I played in fantasy this last week that I won against, I told him, I texted him, that my mom had passed away, and his mom passed away years ago. And so I was like, hey man, I joined the Dead Moms Club. And he's he thought I was fucking with him because he thought I was trying to get a competitive advantage for fantasy football. He's like, dude, our sense of humor is so fucked up. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty bad. If you thought I would fucking lie about that, which I wouldn't lie about that ever. I just would, if I had lied about my mom dying and then she died, I'd feel so bad. I'd be like, oh fuck, I did this. So, but yeah, they keep saying that she died of COVID, which, she had COVID when she died. But it's just funny how they're just like, yeah, it's COVID. And it's like, well, she was severely unhealthy. She was eating fucking blueberries every day towards the end. You know what I mean? Like, blueberry muffins. Sorry. You're probably like, blueberries? Those are fucking fine to eat. Blueberry muffins. Sorry. And like the store-bought blueberry muffins with all the shit in them. So like, not really exercising, not spending way too much time. I've had the radio on, just like I just go, hey, talk radio or whatever for the pets while I'm not here, because we've got the dog on our side, but like I leave the dog with the cat when we leave, so he's got like somebody to chill with. So I don't know, I'm hoping we don't have to keep this fucking cat. He's gonna have to stay over here by himself. I'm sure he doesn't mind, you know what I mean? We come over every day, but I just don't want, cats fucking stink, dude. And I have to change the litter box and fucking, really don't want it. So there was somebody who said they were thinking about taking it to like, it was not a shelter, but it was a rescue that had somebody already lined up. So it would just basically go from our house to his house. So that would be ideal. We're keeping the dog, which is fucking this fucker. I like him. I do like him. Don't get me wrong. But I just did not want a dog right now. And he comes up on the couch and his fucking ass stinks. His ass doesn't stink, but like he shits a lot. And, I'm not going to wipe a dog's ass. And he wants to sit on the couch. So we got to put like fucking dog blankets on the couch. Fuck. Again, I like the dog. I walk the dog every day. You know what I mean? He's got a ton of room now because he's just kind of like roaming around. So I think he's kind of enjoying it. He started to figure out that he lives with us now. But he's pretty chill. He's like a beagle hound mix. I have no fucking idea. Yeah, I know, buddy. So he just sits and hangs out, and then the cat's just an indoor cat, fat cat. What else? Oh yeah, we got a couple of whatnots coming up this week. We've got one on Christmas Eve, so we usually drink eggnog and watch Black Christmas on Christmas Eve and do our kids' presents. So we're gonna go on whatnot for a little bit. It won't be too long, maybe like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. We'll see how it's going. We might sell some shit. We might not. Might do some giveaways. I got stickers finally. So the company that I got stickers from, like, they took forever to come in. They finally came in. And they look amazing. I love them. But I guess the company, like, just merged with another company. So they should be faster. Because it took legit, like, 3 months. I forgot about it. I was just kind of gave up on the fact that I wasn't going to get them. I didn't think they were going to happen. And then they finally showed up. My mom was reading Sophie's Choice. What the fuck? Who reads Sophie's Choice? That book's so old. Isn't that what she decides which one of her kids to kill or something? Man. It's fucking cold over here. I thought it was warmer over here. I might need to put a jacket on. Maybe the heat does need to be up a little bit more. Yeah, there's not too many sales coming up this weekend, which kind of sucks. Oh, so I started to say, I was like, yeah, it's my mom died of COVID. She also got like fucking a bunch of those fucking boosters, dude. And those things cannot be good for you. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, my mom was, whatever, but so. But no, it's funny because, I just picture like those. Anytime you read one of those stories where it was big when COVID was coming on, people are like, yeah, somebody denied COVID and then their mom died. That would be me. So, whatever, shit happens. I don't know. Yeah, I was supposed to do a podcast this past Monday, but obviously I didn't do that. So I got to talk to him again about when we're going to reschedule. So definitely going to do that, but keep you posted as to when I'm going to be going on it. Let me see if I have anything else to talk about. It might be a shorter one today. Probably definitely going to be a shorter one. Oh yeah, dude. So I'm going into the post office the other day, and I have my kid, and I had already gone to the post office in the morning, so I stopped at the other one, the post office I've talked about on here before. I haven't talked about it in a while because I don't go that often, but the uncomfortable post office is what I think I called it. And so I come out of this post office, and there's an old lady getting off the bus, and my daughter's like, running down the ramp having fun. And the lady's like, oh, you should zip her jacket up. It's so cold. I'm just like, yeah, we're right there. Like, I was literally like, the car was in front of the post office. And I'm like, oh, we're right there, And she's like, yeah, she's probably freezing. I was like, I think she would let me know if she was freezing. And so we just kept it moving. And, this lady just got off the bus. I'm like, fucking, are you serious, lady? You're an adult riding the bus and you're going to give me advice on fucking what to do? You know what I mean? I wanted to tell her to zip her lips. Zip my fucking kid's jacket. Zip your fucking lips, bitch. It was like 5 feet from the entrance. My car was not that far from the entrance. Plus she lives in New England. It's fucking cold. She needs to get used to the cold. So I keep seeing that lady at the bus stop, like all fucking bundled up. I want to fucking roll down my window and be like, hey, you should fucking bundle up. It's cold. And just, even though she's already wearing a bunch of shit. Fucking asshole. Why don't you mind your own fucking business, you cunt? Whoa. So yeah. Yeah, just going through. Of course, I found a will, and it's not signed. I'm like, oh, I looked all over the house for it, and I finally found it. It's not signed. But luckily, I'm like, she had me as the beneficiary to most of her things, so we don't really need to deal with it. But it was just funny that I'm like, I found this fucking thing that I've been looking for. I'm like, oh, this is good. This will help us. And then it was not filled out. I got some Pokemon cards like the day my mom died. I stopped and I had to get rock salt because it had snowed. And so I went to the little local hardware store, and they actually sell Pokemon cards, but they mark them the fuck up. So like the packs that cost $5 or whatever at Walmart cost like $8 at this place. I was like, whatever. So I bought a pack, and I opened it, and it was and right before I had opened it, it was like, had just kind of whispered to myself, like, I said, I was like, all right, Mom, you owe me a Charizard from when I was a kid. And I pulled a fucking Charizard, which was wild. But it was the less expensive Charizard. So like, had I asked my mom to get it for me, that would be the Charizard she would have got. You know what I mean? The Ocean State job lots, the big lots. She loves anything with a lot in the title. She likes to buy and shop there, And we've been throwing out a lot of her food, which is crazy. A lot of it's been expired. I'm like, how the fuck, why is this in here? And how do you have so much expired food? But I think she buys it like when it's on clearance. You know what I mean? Like she buys them from like the marked off section. So it's been interesting. Do I have anything else to talk about? Sorry, I'm just looking at my thing. Oh yeah, so then I'm filling out my death certificate, and my my cousin's like, oh, I'm asking about my grandfather. She's like, oh, well, I'm sure you know the story by now, but like, you know, your grandfather left the family, blah, 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 deserted your grandma. I was like, wait, what? So I had to call her back and ask her if that was true. She said, yeah. I'm like, I've never heard that. So I called my other cousin. She confirmed it. And so, like, it's just one of those things. It's like, as soon as, you know, somebody dies, like, all these fucking crazy secrets come out. It's fucking wild. And all just because I was asking a question about the death certificate. Like, I wouldn't have known otherwise. And so, yeah, I asked my cousin, I'm like, you know, did he left the family? Like, I never knew my mom. Like, I guess my mom hated him. That's what I was told by my cousin. But I never, you know, it's just crazy that I come from like a long line of shitty dads. And I'm a solid dad. I would say I'm a fucking 9 out of 10 dad on most days. So yeah, I did find like his dog tags. And so I kept those as like a reminder that like you come from a long line of shitty dads and not to fuck it up with my family. I don't know how you get to that point where you just leave. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And it was like back in the 50s or 60s too, because that was like when you really didn't have to do shit as a man. You know what I mean? You just had to fucking work. So it's pretty crazy. And then yeah, just I'm ready to just be done with all this shit. We cleaned out my mom's kitchen. It was fucking so crazy. Just a bunch of expired shit and shit you didn't need. And I always told her, like, hey, let me know when I can come over and clean some shit up. And then anytime I would come over and start cleaning shit up, she would just, like, freak out. You know what I mean? Like, if I came over to start cleaning shit, she would freak out. And I'd be like, all right, well, then let me know when I can come over and clean. And, like, you know, let me know when you're ready and I'll come over and clean it up. And it wouldn't happen. So it was a fun little dynamic. It was that, like, Depression era. You know what I mean? We found a ton of canned foods. But it's like that Depression era mindset of like, oh, this food is going to be gone, you know, so we got to stock up before all the food goes away. And it doesn't help that she just sits and listens to fucking all this crazy political shit all day. It's just like telling her that she's, you know, going to die all day. So, yeah. Anyway, I think, let me just make sure I don't have anything else to talk about, but I wanted to just at least do a partial podcast. You know, it's been a rough week. I thoroughly enjoyed doing the podcast. I love, you know, I can't wait to get to the video aspect sooner rather than later. And yeah, check out Whatnot. We'll be going live. Check out our special Christmas Eve show, and then our Friday night show. So definitely check it out. I'm not sure where the show's gonna be though. I might be at my cousin's house for Christmas, so I'll do some giveaways from there, and you guys can hang out with us there, or we'll see. But yeah, definitely hang out for Whatnot on Christmas Eve and Saturday. I'm sorry this episode was so fucking sad. And you know, I'm hoping that it'll be less sad next week, but we'll see. So that's the end of the podcast. Thank you so much. Make sure you follow and hit the subscribe so you can get notified. Oh, subscribe and notification so you get notified when the episodes come out. And then Flips and Giggles on eBay and Whatnot. Check that out. Yeah. Oh yeah, I had a paper due on Monday too. That was the other thing. Or Sunday I had a paper due. And so my professor is letting me turn it in late, but I have to do that paper this weekend. So a lot of shit. Lot of shit. All right. That's the end of the podcast. Thank you for listening, and I'm hoping again next week won't be as sad. And if it is, then there's something wrong with me. I mean, not that there's something wrong with me, but like, if I can't like do one super sad podcast and then like, anyway, fuck off. Fuck off. That's the podcast. I'll talk to you next week.